Hello, my name is Tiffany and welcome back to my channel. If you like sewing and DIY videos, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I am back with another upcycle by Little Toe where I take old forgotten items and give them a new life. I have a pretty simple tutorial for you all today. I'm gonna show you how I turned this thrifted dress into this Valentino inspired dress, so let's get started. This is the dress I'm going to be upcycling. It's pretty basic, but I like it because it's just a large front and back piece sewn together, which gives me quite a lot of fabric to work with. There are a few stains that I am going to have to work around though. I've been feeling a little bit burnt out and stuck lately, and as much as I love sewing, I have been finding it a little bit difficult to stay motivated and feel inspired when it comes to creating. So I think in this video, I want to try to make something that's a little bit simpler because I don't want to feel defeated. And I came across this Valentino dress, which I think is the perfect dress to try to recreate. It is definitely on the simpler side, but I still think it's absolutely adorable and I'm very excited to try to make this. Let's take a closer look at the Valentino dress. It's now $2,640, but was originally over $4,000. The bodice has a princess seam and a boat neckline, along with these adorable bows along the front. The back is pretty simple with a zipper in the center back. I'm going to be using this pattern as a base and it's going to work perfectly because it also has princess seams and an option to add sleeves. I traced out the pattern in a size 12 and I did go ahead and shorten it to a mini length. If you look closely at the Valentino dress, right next to the left princess seam, there is a vertical seam where the bows are sewn on, so I'm gonna make that modification to my center front piece as well. Here is the center front pattern piece and it's normally cut on fold, but I'm going to have to change that to recreate this dress. I start by laying out my pattern paper and drawing a straight line. I'm placing the center front of my pattern along that line and then I trace out the pattern. Now I'm going to trace out the other side, again using that line as a guide on where to place my pattern. Once I have the entire piece traced out, I go ahead and cut it out. Now using that center line as a guide, I'm drawing another parallel line about 3 inches away. I'll cut this separating the center front piece, and next is to add seam allowance on both sides, and here is the modified pattern. I'm also going to be making a small modification to the side front pattern because the original pattern has a pencil skirt shape, but I want my dress to have more of an A-line skirt feel. Here is the side front pattern and I'm going to modify this section. I take a piece of pattern paper and I tape it to my existing pattern. Now I'm just extending the hem and I'm adding 1 inch to the original pattern. From the original side seam, I measure up and mark it 11 inches and then I join these 2 points. I cut this out and here are the pattern pieces I'll be using for the front of the dress. I'm going to start with the right side of the dress, so here is my side front piece and the larger center front piece. I'll sew these together along the princess seam and this is what it should look like. Moving on to the other side, here is my smaller center front piece and my other side front piece. Again, I'll sew these together along the princess seam and here are both of my front pieces. To sew them together, I'm placing them right side spacing, and I'll sew together from here to about this point, leaving the bottom section open, creating a small slit. Here it is sewn together, and you can see that this bottom section is still left open. I also used French seams so that the inside is nice and clean. Now that the front is done, I'm going to move on to the back. Here are the pattern pieces for the back of the dress, and I've made the same modification extending the side seam here. I cut out my fabric, and next step is to sew these together. Following the same steps, I repeated this for the other side. Now I'm placing these pieces right side spacing, and you can see I've ironed on some interfacing where the zipper will be sewn on. I'll sew from the hem till about this point, leaving the rest open for the zipper, and this is what it should look like at this point. Next is to sew in the invisible zipper, and the back of the dress is complete. I'm placing the front of my dress right side spacing, and I'll sew together along the shoulder seams and both side seams. This dress is really starting to take shape, and next step is to sew on the sleeves. I am very sorry because I definitely messed up and did not press record for that entire sleeve sewing process. Here is what it looks like with the sleeve sewn on, and next step is to finish the neckline. I went ahead and followed the original pattern to make my facing. I'm pinning the facing to my dress right side spacing, making sure that the shoulder seams line up. I work my way around the neckline, carefully pinning everything in place, and you can also see that I finished the raw edge of the facing with some bias tape. I'll sew these together, and here is what the finished neckline should look like. I cannot wait to show you the inside. I absolutely love the contrast of the bias tape, and I also wanted to show you that I understitched the facing to keep it in place. I wanted to take the time to show you the inside of the dress as well. I am so incredibly proud of how neat and clean everything is. There are no exposed edges, and from a technical point, I think this is the neatest I've ever sewn anything before. I also went ahead and hemmed the dress by folding over twice and sewing. The construction of this dress was honestly really simple, so if you're new to my channel and or a beginner sewer, I definitely recommend this pattern. Now to complete this Valentino dupe, the last step is to make the bows that go in the front of the dress. The bows on the original dress are a little bit puffy, and I found this velvet cord on Amazon that's also a little bit puffy, so I think it's gonna work perfectly. Here is a close-up of the velvet cord. You can see that it's a little bit puffy, and I went ahead and made 4 little bows. I spaced the bows out evenly along that modified seam, and once I was happy with the placement, I marked it with an air erasable marker. Final step is to hand sew this in place, and here is the finished dress. I really like the contrast of the black bows, and I think my dress turned out pretty similar to the original Valentino dress. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It was definitely a good project for me to boost my confidence a little bit and feel good about sewing again, so I really hope you all liked it too. I'll be posting photos of this dress on my Instagram, so make sure you're following me there at Little Toe. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this upcycle, and as always, thank you so much for watching.